ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very good looking and the very talented Armaan Malik.
जहाँ से तो भागे वहाँ से आगे जिंदगी से चल जाए वहीं ले जाए जहाँ फिर दिल के रास्तों पे तेरी आहट जो हुई करने दे ख्वाबों को बदमाशियाँ चलने दे नजरों की मनमानियाँ होश में रहना है तू रहने से होगा क्या कुछ है जुनून सा कुछ पागल
The official promoting partners for tomorrow's concert.
Okay.
That's the thing.
So what we do is, it is basically started as a student ADDA and we are coming into the production house.
As a student?
Student ADDA in Australia. So basic information for students and everything about immigration, jobs and all.
In Australia?
In Australia. So we are recently planning to do a office opening in Hyderabad.
Nice.
It's actually the biggest student community in Australia.
Oh,
We
wow.
help students for accommodation, jobs, visa related issues, so everything.
Super.
First things first, you've given vocals for 4 tracks in MS Dhoni. Okay? And what and how did that happen? How did you or is your career inclined from there, from MS Dhoni?
I think MS Dhoni, the untold story, happened at a time where I already had a few hits in the Bollywood film industry. And obviously MS Dhoni, the whole movie was a very, very big project. Firstly, because it's being made on MS Dhoni, the captain. The one person who kind of changed the whole map of Indian cricket for all of us. So for me, it was a big honor just to be associated with it. I never knew what it's going to do for my career. It's obviously one of those projects that you really want to be a part of, and then obviously when the songs came and people heard it, people really loved it. I came onto the project when the songs were almost like 50%, 60% done. My brother was the sole composer of the songs, and the first song that he made for the movie was Kaun Tujhe, which was this love song from the perspective of the girl in MS Dhoni's life. And that's where the first song started, and then there was Besabriyan, which is one of my favorites, and then Jab Tak, and then other songs happened. But it's one of those pivotal projects in my career which I feel will always be remembered for a long time. And when anyone looks at Armaan Malik, the discography, they will always be like, MS Dhoni album is the one that stood out the most.
You also sung in Kapoor and Sons, Urdu Saman, films about family. I've heard it a lot of times. Maybe a lot of people might not know about it. But what's the most precious memory which is tied up to it?
Buddhu Saman is one of those songs that, so on one end everyone knows me for the romantic love songs, and they never heard me in a very light-hearted, fun, up-tempo song. And Kapoor and Sons obviously is was one of those projects that was very close to my heart, not only because obviously the star cast, but because the way the story is, the movie is. It's a very emotional movie. And Buddhu Saman comes at a very nice, sweet time where it's the grandfather's birthday, Rishiji's birthday. And for me, firstly, singing a song which is filmed on him was a very big deal, because I had never done that before, singing for such a massive legend. So for me, Buddhu Saman is one of those tracks that is a refreshing track for all my listeners. I'm glad you brought that song up because it's one of my personal favorites. And whenever I sing it at a concert, I feel happy, and I'm sure other people who listen to it feel happy. It's one of those instant pick-me-up songs. If you're feeling low and you listen to it, you just feel happy and good.
So yeah, let's go back in time. How did Kacha Limbu happen?
Kacha Limbu happened because of my mother, actually. She saw in the newspaper that there's this director Sagar Ballari who's coming up with this project called Kacha Limbu, and he's looking for new actors who could also be musicians, or singers, and she thought maybe it's something I can try. And I was not very into acting at that point in time. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, we can go and audition. And I went and audition and I got the part, and that was my first acting.
How old were you?
I was, I think I was around 10, 11. 11, yeah, 11, yeah,
Okay.
10, 11, yeah. That's the first time I started acting. And I sang a few songs in the movie also. I was playing Armaan in the movie myself.
Yeah.
It was an interesting thing to do. I'd never done something like that before. And now also a lot of people ask me, will you ever act, and will you ever have that, thing for yourself? And I feel like, yeah, I would love to do it if the project is interesting. And if the movie is about a singer or a musician, I think that would be really cool, more realistic for me to play, rather than playing a character that I might not be able to do justice to. For a singer musician, I'm already a singer and a musician, so I know how it feels to be, like that. So I would love to do something like that in the future.
You are the first Indian singer-songwriter to be featured on Times Square Billboard. How was that feeling?
Surreal. Also a little disheartening because I was not able to be there. It was, the pandemic just happened, and within the lockdown, after lockdown 3-4 days, this happened. So I was like, shit, this is the worst timing possible. But I feel like, the billboard came at a time which was, it was such a dark time in the world. And when I saw my face lit up on that billboard, it felt like a ray of light for the music industry, a ray of light for everyone around. Because I was doing something that I don't think a lot of Indian artists have, kind of ventured to do. And representing India on a global platform was always my dream. And to see it happen in that manner, and the whole world was watching that. So for me, it was a very, very big deal. And an Indian face, an Indian name on Times Square, doing something which is hasn't been done before. There's not been many examples of that in the world. So for me, it's a very, very surreal feeling. Till date, I pinch myself and I ask myself, how did that ever happen?
Okay. The voice of Mansoor Masood. As a 90s kid, how did that? What was the initial?
You mean
feeling?
Meena Masood?
Yes.
Yeah. Meena Masood was Aladdin, you mean,
Aladdin,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So I've been a Disney fan for the longest time. All of us have, in some way or the other. And Aladdin was one of those movies that I really, really loved. And, the character was such that everyone knows Aladdin.
Yes.
And when I got offered, this opportunity, obviously I had to audition for it. They never just take someone just because they want to cast someone just for the sake of it. Oh, this guy's popular, let's cast him for it. That's not how it works. They always audition the voice, and I did a couple of auditions for Aladdin, and they finalized my voice for him, for the singing and the voice acting both. So the Hindi version of Aladdin is me, and I'm so happy to say that, and it's part of my resume. Is a very big thing, because for me, it's all, as a kid I always dreamt of doing something for Disney, and multiple occasions I've collaborated with them. Not only on Aladdin, I also got to be part of Lion King. I was the singing voice for Simba, while Aryan Khan was the speaking voice. So for me, just doing all these things parallelly to my music has always been something that I've wanted to do. As a voice artist, I feel like it's a space that helps me to be very creative. I can, maybe people hear me speaking in a certain voice as Armaan Malik, but then when they hear me as these characters, they get to hear me in a very different manner and imagine my voice in a different manner. So for me as an artist, I love doing these things. It pushes my boundaries as well.
Do you remember your first paycheck?
Yes, I do remember it. JM, what was the first paycheck? What was the amount? Around 50,000-60,000. Yeah, that was my first check. As a voice artist, as a voiceover and jingle artist.
Okay, what's your favorite song in Telugu in the recent times? Most recent times?
Something I've sung or something else, someone else's sung?
In general.
That's a tough question because I love a lot of songs. that have come out.
Two or three?
Um,
At least one or two. Go ahead.
There's this song which I sang called Madhura Gatama that I sang for Manish Sharma sir. That's one of my favorites that I've sung recently. Yeah, and of late in the last few years, I think apart from my songs, obviously Butta Mama is a favorite of everyone, but Samajavara Gamana is one of my favorites. Yeah.
Have you ever been inspired to write something about the moon?
Write something about
The moon.
the moon.
A lot of poets, lyricists
Being
have
a
drawn
fan.
inspiration from the moon. So, what's your thing about it?
I did a song recently called Sun Mahi, but I talk about the moon and the planets and the sun and the stars. There's a very small mention in it, but I've not done one song specifically for the moon, but I would love to do it. I mean, yeah, the moon is definitely something, very interesting question firstly. But yeah, the moon is something that I love. I love moonlight. I think it's a beautiful, very calming, very romantic.
I know, because I've
Right.
written something about the moon as well in the recent times.
Oh,
It's called I See You See the Moon, to be released very soon.
It's a song?
Yeah,
it's a song.
Nice, awesome.
Shot in Melbourne,
Australia.
produced by the Melbourne MAMA itself.
Oh wow,
Written and composed by me.
amazing. Waiting to hear.
You're all artists, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
All music artists?
I am into music, yes.
You're into
She's
music?
into music. She's been a student from Came Conservatory, Chennai.
Oh, lovely. You sing? Oh wow,
And right now I'm teaching actually. Teaching for the primary grades.
brilliant. Awesome.
I've taken music as a hobby. These guys are producing music as their hobby.
Sweet.
So, that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Cut down a lot of questions, but we do not want to eat your mind.
No, thank you. Thanks so much. You already knew I'm launching the song. I See You See the Moon. Okay, awesome. Congratulations for this.
Thank you.
We're so happy.
Hope that this song does wonders. We hope the same as well. Chalo.